In a new Bloomberg Politics poll, 24%, followed by Ben Carson, who's at 20%. Trump is winning in New Hampshire, 27% to Marco Rubio's 13%. In Florida, Trump doubles Rubio, 36 to 18% in his home state. In Connecticut, Trump has an 11-point lead over Rubio in the Republican primary. And in New Jersey, Trump is at 31%, right across the board, Joe.
Boy, Phil, Donald Trump playing with his belt and swearing.
Is this the moment we predict the decline again, and then he's up 10 more points in the next couple polls?
This past week, the decline was predicted. There was another, I think it was another Time story talking about, well, this time with his attacks on Carson, he's gone too far. You look at these numbers, the guy's in the mid to high 30s in most of these states, pounding Chris Christie in his home state of New Jersey, pounding Marco and Jeb in their home states of Florida. This is as dominant as he's been in the entire campaign.
Teflon is one way to describe it, but also finding issues that resonate within the Republican primary electorate and then hitting them over and over again. And I think there's a lot of question, okay, what's in the aftermath of Paris, in the aftermath of Syria refugees, is this what hits Trump because he's inexperienced on foreign policy? Listen to his radio advertisement that he released today.
It's tough.
Anybody who's listening to that, even though there's not hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees walking into the country, take into what he's been talking about over the last couple of months and say, yeah, Donald Trump's been talking about that, bombing ISIS, bombing oil. Yeah, why don't we do that? Well, we are, the U.S. is, but Donald Trump messages this in a way that really resonates.
And Casey, we were in New Hampshire last Wednesday, had a town hall meeting. Mika got him to say that he was going to have a deportation force. Afterwards, everybody was telling me, oh, this is going to really hurt him. And I was like, are you kidding me? This actually, and I said before it happened, I said, this gets the debate back to immigration. He's the toughest on immigration. And now watch Marco Rubio. I mean, Trump, he does play chess. It's not checkers. He brought it back to immigration not only to be tough, but to expose Marco Rubio's weakness, who he now sees as his main challenger.
Well, how many staffers have we talked to who just are beside themselves because they don't have a candidate who can stay on message and they're constantly messing up what they're trying to do? Donald Trump is a one-person message. He knows what it is. He sticks to it. But I think the other part of this is that we saw Carson's numbers drop, I imagine in part because of what Donald Trump has been out there saying. And if he does decide, as you say, to turn his fire on Rubio, that obviously is the next brewing battle. And you also have Cruz already up on the air talking about this.
So, Jeremy, if you look at what's happened to Trump, and there was this speculation that Paris would mean people say, I want experience, I actually want somebody who has some kind of past history in this. This suggests this is just clearly not the case, right? A simple, we will hit them in a complex time seems to be working.
Yeah, we'll knock the hell out of them, we'll take the oil. No, I mean, Trumpism was always more of an attitude than an ideology, right? And right now you have this moment, I think, that is just...
I love that.
I do, that's very good. Trumpism is more of an attitude than an ideology.
Write it down.
You had, that was in the New York Times. My colleague Michael Bavaro and I wrote that story a couple months ago.
All right, well, you and Michael can trademark. Trademark Make America Great Again.
No, but there's this moment right now that I think is ripe for the kind of nationalism that Trump appeals to. You have threats on national security, you have immigration, and they're coming together. And, I mean, Trump is a nationalist candidate, and that's what we're seeing.
One thing, I would just, the Bloomberg Politics polls, we were looking at the top line numbers. National security and terrorism have now jumped way ahead of any other issue economically right now. If people think Donald Trump is strong on national security, if everybody thinks Ben Carson is weak on national security, which kind of looks that way based on everything you've read in the last couple weeks or days, he's got a big advantage here on this issue. And then you add the Syria refugee issue, where more than half of Americans believe that the program should be halted. These are almost walking right into his wheelhouse in terms of issues.
Casey Hunt, the Republican establishment is panicking right now. Donald Trump is actually getting stronger. The hope that Ben Carson might win Iowa and knock him off there, and then maybe, who knows, a Kasich or a Bush wins New Hampshire, knocks him off there. Right now, as we get closer and closer to Thanksgiving, and we all know December is a dead month in politics. Right now, a lot of people scratching their head in the GOP establishment saying, who is our candidate? Is it Marco? Is it Jeb? Is it Cruz? There's still no answer.
There is no answer, and there are brewing fights that give them even more cause for concern. I mean, having talked to, I was just in South Carolina, for example. If you think about, that's a state that's typically very establishment. The whole place is a mess compared to where it's been in previous cycles. A lot of the people in the party don't understand what's going on. You have, on the one hand, Trump supporters who are mostly out outside the party apparatus. The question there is, are those people actually going to turn into voters? They're sort of angry and outside. Then you have Carson. There's an event he's holding 2 weeks from now. They already have 3,000 RSVPs for that event. Now, I was at a small Jeb event, a luncheon, Jeb Bush event, and, you know, it's all of the people in South Carolina suits clapping politely. That's the Jeb Bush crowd. But no one can identify how many of those people that there are. It's absent in the polls. He's barely there. Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz also potentially heading for a clash. But Cruz and Carson overlap so much that Cruz is going to have to take Carson out. Now, that's one microcosm, obviously one state. You've got to go through Iowa and New Hampshire first. But it's so wide open right now that you're absolutely right. People have no idea. They can't coalesce behind one horse.
I'm waiting for the Trump-Cruz clash. That's what's coming here. Oh, and it's going to happen over immigration. It's going to happen over national security. I think Cruz right now is so busy trying to run to Marco Rubio's right on immigration, and Rubio is so busy trying to run to Cruz's right on national defense and security that, you know, we've kind of forgotten that Trump is there just kind of waiting to be attacked by Cruz.
But they've played it nice.
They have. I don't think that lasts.
They have, and I wonder how that plays out, Jeremy, because in a way, Cruz is the one person who might be able to take on Trump because he has the conservative credentials. He's got a ton of money. He's very well organized. If you look at any of the candidates, it would be a risk for any of them, right? Certainly Rubio to take on Trump at the moment. Could Cruz do it?
I think he's the only one, I think, who would have the credibility with the right to do it.
And, you know, I'm not sure if the establishment would hate a Donald Trump nomination or a Ted Cruz nomination more.
You know what? That is a tough question. I would actually guess right now they might hate a Cruz nomination more.
I think that's
because it's the devil you know.
He has no friends.
He has no friends.
I think Mitch McConnell might secretly pull the lever for Hillary Clinton.
There have been senators who've said if Cruz is really gaining traction come February, March, they will go into the states where Cruz is campaigning and work against him publicly.
But for who?
Against Cruz. I don't think it really matters. Anybody but Cruz.
All right. Well, after a quick break, MSNBC Live is going to pick up the breaking news out of Paris that the mastermind of Friday's attack has been killed. A lot to get to today. Thank you all so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you for watching. Stay with MSNBC.